Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Dually webinar. I wanted to welcome everyone and just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. Just as a reminder, be kind, be thoughtful, engage, and let's get this pitching session started. So with that said, at this moment, I'd love to hand it over to Saad Khan from Dually, and he'll take it from here.
Thank you for the intro, Lise. Hey, everybody. How is it going? It's end of month, so let's see if we can get you all some extra demos and maybe some stuff over the line. Let's just get the introductions out of the way. Back in session, I guess, Jason, this is round three for us, right?
Round three, yeah.
Yeah, back in session with the Chief Prospecting Officer, Mr. Jason Bay. We have with me Daniel. Daniel was actually first BDR on our Dually team. And Daniel, you want to just give a quick introduction, what you're doing today, what's up, what's happening?
Yeah, sure. BDR number one at Dually, and actually two other companies before that. I was promoted to AE like what, 2 months ago now, 3 months ago. So I still have not forgotten, hopefully, how to pick up the phone and make a cold call. And thankfully I've got these two legends around to pull me up. So don't be afraid to look like a fool, because I'll definitely do it for you. So, but
you're also energetic. This guy's in Australia right now. What's the time over there?
4 a.m.
Oh, there you go. 4 a.m. for everybody.
Dude, this is not the first call of the day either. So
customer calls as well. Jason, why don't you do a bit of an intro as well?
Yeah, I run Blissful Prospecting. We help reps and sales teams who, love getting those big meetings, but really hate when prospects ignore their emails or give them a tough time on their cold calls. So I'm trying to make that a little easier for everyone.
Yeah, I've been actually following Jason's content. I hate the word content, but I guess it is what it is. But I've been following Jason on LinkedIn for a few years now. When I was a rep, even as a manager, I guess what we want to take away from today's conversation, again, also I'll give the intro. I'm a little all over the place right now, so I'll try and connect my points. Saad, the BDR manager here at Dually, have had the pleasure to run some of these sessions with Jason. And that's basically it. Is what I was mentioning earlier. The reason why I've been following Jason is he's very good at helping people understand sales frameworks. There's new tactics and methodologies and ideas in sales coming every single day. You can go out and master all those new tactics. So just drilling down on frameworks is absolutely crucial. Frameworks are scalable. So yeah, give Jason a follow and give Dually a like on the page as well. I guess the cool thing for Dually, for our BDR team, is our BDRs get to close deals. So we focus a lot on outbound, a lot on just cold calling. We do a lot of LinkedIn work as well, a lot of social selling. So yeah, I'm excited to just kind of get into it with everybody today. And I guess the brief for which everybody wanted to come on here today for was how to improve your improv skills. So I guess to start, Jason, what is improv in sales? I'm kind of going off the cuff, but what is the improv in sales? What do you think is the value of improv in sales?
Yeah, so I used to do improv. Wasn't very good at it. It was something I did when I was single.
Is that why the Brit backgroround is there?
Yeah, I was single, and supposedly it's a great way to meet people. And just I wanted to push myself outside, my comfort zone too. And the very simple, sort of premise of improv is yes and, right? Is that if we're doing some sort of improv, and you say, yeah, so I was walking down the street the other day and decided to go into the vinyl store. I'm not going to change the subject. I'm just going to roll with that, and we're going to talk about that. And I think the ability to think on your feet, super important when you cold call. And the way that I think about improv more in prospecting and selling is through what's called, shift responses and support responses. So this is something that I learned in couples therapy. So a shift response.
Couples, Jason, what's coming out today? There's a lot more going on.
Yeah. So a shift response is, it'd be like me asking about your weekend. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you actually, Saad, what are you getting into this weekend?
Man, Toronto was sunny this weekend. We all went out, got some coffee on the patios. So it felt nice. It was nice to be out and about.
Yeah, the weather was really nice here too, actually. And one thing I really enjoy doing is, snowboarding. And my wife and I have been getting into this, and that's a shift response.
Yeah.
So now if I answered that, instead of like shifting the conversation to me, if I instead said, oh, Sunny, what do you guys typically do in Toronto? I've never been there before. What do people do in the springtime?
You know what's funny? I literally just had this conversation with Danny. I want to come to you because I know you're pretty good at it. But we had this conversation last. We have 3 new BDRs on the team, and we had this conversation. What you said in a much more eloquent manner. I said it in a way like, if your friend asks you, "Hey, how's your day is going?" You're gonna respond to, "Oh yeah, it's going well. What did you do last night?" Something like that. You won't go with like, if your friend asks you, "Hey, how's your day going?" You won't be like, "Oh, you know what? Let's go for pizza." Like you want to answer, you want to, you probably can say that. That's probably what's on your mind. You will say that, but that's a conversation, right? The conversation is responding to what was said and organically letting it flow wherever it's supposed to go.
Yeah, it's I think that we do this every day in our personal lives. I'm guilty of it. We're probably all guilty of it. If you're watching this, you're guilty of it, where someone says something, a spouse, friend, significant other, whatever, and then we completely think about how that applies to us instead of digging in and being naturally curious. A framework that you can think about this through is anytime you're talking to a prospect and you don't really know what to say, maybe, or you're nervous about what to say next. I don't even know who came up with the TED framework, but T, tell me, E, explain to me, D, describe to me. When someone's like, oh yeah, we're using Salesforce, and oh, tell me a little bit more about that. How do you guys, keep the data updated?
Duly. Sorry. Sorry. Speaking of that, Daniel, you're probably, I talk about it. You do it every single day. The amount of like, I guess that's also, it's also funny because everybody's given scripts, everybody's given a pathway to talk, but it's just framework. It's just guiding signals. So Daniel, you're on the front line. You're talking to prospects, you're talking to customers, and there's only so much a script or our enablement training and all that stuff can do for you. You have to really be present and like, so how do you, I don't know, just like, what are your thoughts on the topic? What are your thoughts on the conversation you see where sometimes the conversations end up going and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, the best, something that I think a lot of reps fall into the trap of is trying to like lead the conversation somewhere instead of being like, as Jason mentioned, I can't call you Jason. It's J-Bay to me. Like, every time you said Jason, I'm like, what? Like J-Bay mentioned, asking genuine questions and being genuinely curious versus trying to lead someone somewhere. So, that's where I think, I don't know, I have gotten a lot of mileage out of, instead of being like, I don't know, to use Dooley as an example, like, oh, how's your reps, or like, how's your forecasting? And at the end goal, I'm trying to get to the place of them telling me my reps don't update Salesforce, and that's what's hurting my forecasting. I'm just genuinely like, how is your forecasting? Oh, what's bad? What's good? And if it ends up not being a problem that I can solve, like, that's okay. Yeah. But like, oftentimes you'll get a lot more on the journey there than if you sort of try to lead someone there. Yeah, that's sort of, I guess, my 2 cents.
Oh, I like that, because I guess let's tie it back into some certain sales words and tactics we always talk about as well. People always talk about medic and band. It works, but sometimes I feel like it can be leading, because you're leading people into that medic field, that band field, that qualification field, versus having a conversation, asking a few more real questions, relevant questions, and them organically finding themselves into that. Like, if you want to uncover a pain, if you want to uncover who's going to be the buying person, et cetera, then that's how we do our discovery as well. And that's also the activity I want to discuss later. But I guess that kind of ties it together, the improv side of things versus just leading people into certain places. But in actuality, I feel like it also starts at a certain point. It can also start with just as simple as matching somebody's tone on the call, because that's what you're doing. You're kind of improvising with them, right? You're improvising, you're coming down, you're either A, getting to their level, or B, having a conversation in a specific way and bringing them to yours. So Jason, why do you think matching tones and just that tonality piece is so important?
Yeah. I actually have a counterintuitive, sort of stance on this. I think that mirroring goes both ways. I think that there's an element of reading the room and if I go meet with some friends and we're, everyone's really quiet because someone's having a really bad day, I kind of need to read the room and not come in like super happy about stuff, right? But at the same time, me coming in and being really positive, let's say, that could also rub off on them. And I think a cold calling the same way, I think that if the prospect's like sounds really rushed,
Yeah.
I think the instinct for a rep is to talk really fast. And it's just like chaotic energy met with chaotic energy. And I think that if someone's like, hey, hello, what's going on? Hey, you caught me in something. Oh, hey, not a problem, Saad. Sounds like I might have caught you in the middle of something. Would it be better to call you later? Or would it be okay for me to take a minute to tell you why I'm calling? And then you could let me know if we should maybe put this conversation on pause or not. I think that a certain amount of it you do want to match, but also keep in mind that you don't have to meet their chaotic energy either. So I honestly don't think about mirroring too much. I kind of want to come in and I don't want to sound like a telemarketer. That's the biggest thing that I'm focused on is calm, cool, collected. I sound like a peer.
Yeah.
I want you to match my energy.
You sound like a trusted advisor. You sound like a consultant. So I know, actually, thanks for pointing me there. That's actually a very good point.
And don't offer the premium package.
Not right away. Don't throw in all your bells. Actually, no, I don't want to go there. I get PTSD thinking you're throwing in all the bells and whistles early on. Okay, so I guess that also turns my conversation into our conversation, becomes a we conversation, becomes a mutual conversation, right? And then I guess, what do you do to when people have defenses up, Jason and Daniel? I guess, Daniel, let's start with you. First thing you get is an objection. Nobody is picking up a phone call like, oh yeah, tell me what you're selling, I'll buy from you. So how are you disarming them? I don't know, how do you like opening conversations or questions, and what do you think gets you more from a call?
Well, calling with a reason is a big one, versus calling without a reason. I guess how I start the calls, obviously, if I'm calling someone who doesn't know who I am out of the blue, I can't just say, hey, how are you going? What's the weather like there? And something like you have to frame the conversation. So my favorite method is J-Bay's one of like priority dropping. So I love sort of coming in and being like, permission-based opener. Hey, call out the elephant in the room. This is a cold call. Can you give me 30 seconds to tell you why I called, so to speak? And this is like the coming with a reason. Like there's a reason why I took the time to dial you. Like at the end of the day, I think it's pretty common. Like there's not that many people that literally wake up in the morning and just want to smash out 500 dials a day. Like it's sort of like a part of the job that everyone does, and some people might be better or worse, but no one, I think, loves it, even the people that are really great at it, because it is pretty tough and mentally stressful. So being like, hey, I'm calling you for a reason, it's not just for my health, and then priority drop, like typically when I speak
I think Daniel's breaking up a bit.
I think we're listening.
People like yourself, YZ, one resonates with you. Oh no, can we hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Okay. Dang it. Where did we lose me?
I think you were on your permission-based opener and then the priority drop.
Okay. So yeah, I was just gonna say I love J-Bay's priority drop because it frames the conversation without necessarily leading them anywhere. It's like, hey, I've called you to talk about like this, where about in here do you want to talk about? And we can then just leave with curiosity from there. But yeah, I guess sort of going and calling with a reason, being transparent and authentic, and sort of going that way. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. So let's add more context to it. So you mentioned J-Bay's priority drop. Segue, Jason. So what is this priority drop? I guess a better question is, I don't know, what are your go-to questions or tactics or priority drops that help you handle objections on a cold call, or ideally that help you flip the script on a cold call when you are getting objections?
Yeah, so the reason why the priority drop works kind of well is if we kind of chunk the cold call up into 3 parts. I sort of have hey, you want to make an entrance? I want to sync up. That's where I want to ask my questions. And then I want to say goodbye. Right? I want to be the one to say goodbye. So in the intro, the reason why you're leveraging a priority drop is it allows you to prevent a lot of objections, because most of the time when you're calling someone, they're wondering, who are you? Why are you calling? What do you want from me? What are you selling? All that kind of stuff. And what we're doing with that priority drop is it's allowing us to filter the conversation for that middle part so that we can engage in a dialogue. Because if there's some back and forth, my odds of booking a meeting go up drastically, right? So I think where you get the objection is really important. Yeah. So if you get the objection right at the beginning of the call and you're getting shut down in the first 30, 60 seconds, are you using a permission-based opener? That's the first thing. And the second thing is tone, speed, delivery, right? Hey, Jason with Blissful Prospecting. I don't suppose I caught you at the worst possible time, did I? And usually the prospect will be like, no, it's not the worst time. It's not the best time either. What's up? Well, hey, I know I caught you in the middle of something. Can I get a minute to tell you why I'm calling? You can let me know if you want to keep chatting. I think slowing down your delivery and putting a big smile. I want them to see my dimples through the phone. You know what I mean? That's the big thing with that intro. Smile. I want to just make the best impression. I want to make an entrance, right? Make the best first impression I possibly can. And then I'm going to suggest some things that they might be focused on that allow me to filter the conversation. So if I'm getting not interested, all that kind of stuff at the beginning, I need to think about how to prevent that. And it's usually an indicator of tone. So objections, I kind of look at in 2 categories. I believe there are only 2 objections. One is an objection to being cold called. So it's the objection to being interrupted. And the other one is an objection of, what Anthony Iannarino calls the time value trade. You're asking me for a meeting. I don't feel like I'm going to get enough value in return to spend 15, 30 minutes with you. So the objection to being interrupted, that's the not interested. I'm about to hop in a meeting, all of that kind of stuff. So we can spend some time if you want, Saad, on those kind of shallow objections first, if you want.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, absolutely. I just want to add something on that is, so we live JVA, but there's another selling author out there. He used to be the VP of sales at Salesforce, David Premier.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I love David. He, in his book, Sell the Way You Buy, he actually touches on this is exactly to your point, what's in it for me? That objection is coming. So help them understand that. So one of the best ways, and it's psychologically just so real, you're always going to ask a question, but tell people why you're asking the question. For example, hey, basic, do you have issues with your Salesforce instance? The reason why I ask is because we see companies are typically, whenever they feel like Salesforce is getting messy for them, they hire Salesforce consultants where they're actually thinking about the right tools they need in place to fix that. And that's a general thing in the industry. So that's why I'm asking you that question. So that way you have frame of reference. So it's like, so now they kind of know where you're coming from, because then that also validates the fact that, hey, we go through these conversations every single day. I'm not trying to reach. This is my day-to-day job. I'm also talking to you about this because I know I'm not calling you for no reason. I've done my job. I've done my research. I know you fit here. So we can get into it more. But taking a step back to on those basic low-level objections and the handles there, Jason, where do you think what's the best place to start over there?
Yeah, so I think through I'm a big frameworks guy, like you said before. So I think through empathize, validate, offer. Mm-hmm. So what I want to do is completely do the opposite of what would be expected. Yeah. And most people don't like interacting with salespeople because you tell them that you're not interested in something and then they keep trying to sell it to you, right? It's kind of the normal MO of any type of person that sells maybe consumer type of stuff to customers. So the thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show that I understand. It's called cognitive empathy. I'm just going to show and restate what I think the person is thinking, but they are not saying. So if someone gives me a not interested at the very beginning of the cold call, why might someone say that? Well, maybe they thought you were someone else. Maybe they think you're selling something else. Maybe they think you're a telemarketer. Maybe they're just really busy and they picked up the phone and thought it was their doctor or their school or whatever. I'm just going to say, Sounds like I might have caught you in the middle of something. Totally okay if now's not the best time to talk. That's the empathize, validate piece. I'm letting them know that however they feel, is totally okay. And then offer, that's my ask. If this happens at the very front of the cold call, I'm just going to re-ask if I didn't get a chance to yet, my permission-based opener. Hey, sounds like I might have caught you in the middle of something. All good if now's not a great time to talk, but could I get a minute to tell you why I'm calling? And then you can let me know if you want to keep chatting. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. Daniel.
That'll usually do the trick in the beginning. It's a reflexive response most of the time. No different than, when you walk into a mall and someone from a kiosk starts approaching you. I don't know about you guys. I try not to make eye contact.
Yeah. Literally.
Right?
I from a distance, I'm like, all right, I never looked this straight. I'm walking in my eyes are left or right, but in that.
Yeah.
Text somebody or, no, I have a text message to reply back to. No, but there's no text message. It's not there.
Yeah. So, and that's instinctual. You don't even know what they're selling. I switched phones from Verizon to Xfinity, their plan, just because when we set up internet at our new place, they said, oh, did you know that we do phones? And I switched. But if someone was at an Xfinity booth in a mall, I wouldn't want to talk to them. I just wouldn't. It would be instinctual to not want to talk to them. So your prospects have these reflexive responses to these objections, and not interested is usually one of us, especially at the very beginning of a call. So don't think that they're objecting to your solution, because that's what a lot of people think is, no, I have to justify my solution. No, we haven't gotten into a conversation about your solution at all. You have to handle the objection of them not wanting to talk based on the interruption.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you need to address first.
For me, one of my favorite questions to ask when somebody says, hey, pitch me, what does Dooley do? And okay, no, I'm not, that's a trap. But going into the a little bit further, Daniel, you're again, that's your job on a day-to-day, just flipping the script. So like, what are your thoughts? What works for you? Where do you normally, I guess, get stuck if you do?
Yeah, it's funny how you talked about the stall. I literally had an example the other day where my autopilot, I talk about this, is like everyone sort of operates on autopilot. And so like our job as sellers is to like break someone out of autopilot, because they're never going to make a decision. Like no one wakes up in the morning and is like, you know what? There is a solution out there that solves this exact problem of mine that I know I have, and I know exactly how much pain it's causing me. And I'm going to go Google the exact keywords to find this solution. And I'll be the perfect inbound lead for something. Like that just doesn't happen. So like as a seller, we're trying to like get past someone on autopilot to actually talk to the pilot and go from there. So it's like slight, just a story kind of to back up what Jason was saying. I walked into a store not long ago, it was maybe 3 months ago, and I needed something. I knew what I needed. I didn't know where it was. And I walked into the store and a sales rep came up to me and was like, hey, how can I help you today? I was like, no, thanks, just looking. And I literally was like, wait, actually, sorry, you can help me. Where is this thing? I need to find it and buy it in 2 minutes. And they helped me. Whereas in the past, I've literally like walked around for 15 minutes trying to find this stupid thing and then finally caving and asking someone for help. So like just that, like people are so entrenched in their order. Like I'm so used to walking into a store and saying, no, thanks, just looking. Even when the salesperson doesn't even ask me if they can help, they just say, hey, how's your day today? And no, thanks, just looking. So like a lot of people, like they're used to picking up the phone and being like, oh, is this a cold call? Yeah, like I don't answer cold calls. And so like being able to come in and not be like, I'm trying to think of, I've been following Jason for so long that I don't even know what like the common big mistakes of cold calling are. But it's like, yeah, mission-based openers. I'm not just like the second someone says hello, it's like, hi, I'm looking to sell you, and I've got the premium package today. And for like, if you buy in the next 3 hours, I'll be able to save you $25.
You mentioned premium package a few times. Do I need to go listen to your calls? Do I need to go listen? Are you throwing premium package at everybody?
It's just like the classic telemarketer. It's like,
yeah.
Did I interest you in the premium package today? And so, yeah, as far as if you just look at, like you mentioned with David Premier, like sell how you buy. If you don't like it when people jump down your ear when you pick up the phone, like what would you like? You know, when has a salesperson done something that has made you stop and think about a problem differently, or where they've helped you regardless of whether you bought or not? And if you can try to emulate that, that's sort of what my framework, I guess, is to really try to not be like every other seller out there, and fall into a pattern, because once someone has in your head, oh, this is a sales call and I'm not interested in whatever they're selling, like it's really difficult to get out of that. So trying to not get there in the first place based on your tone and all of the stuff Jason's been talking about.
One of the best calls, I agree. I agree with you. It's literally, it's a game of deflection. You need to do your job. So kind of, you just tell people that, hey, I'm just trying to do my job. They'll be like, okay, you know what? You're not that bad of a person. Just simple. Every time we cold call people, it's like, is this a cold call? Yeah, it is. Would you like to hang up or roll the dice? I'm just trying to do my job. Obviously, don't get as timid as I do, but if you just address that, the objection is not that this is a cold call. The objection is you just calling them in the middle of your day. But in reality, hey, you're just trying to do your job and you understand that people are busy and all that stuff. The other thing, Daniel, what you mentioned is I love, one of the best cold calls that I got was this person made me think of a problem that I live on a daily. They didn't tell me that, hey, we did this for this person. They were just like, hey, do you go through this? Because we talk to people all the time and they do. And that cold call didn't go anywhere. But he left off with like, hey, what happens if this doesn't happen? Or what happens if this continues? And I had no buying power at my old company. But that question and that just that thought, it marinated in my head. Like it sunk in. We thought about it. The company didn't buy that tool, but they bought an alternative version of it. But just that is, yeah. So hey, the person did a good job. Like just, but somebody created a need for me that I didn't understand was there. Somebody told me that there was a pain there that I never knew was hitting me. I thought it was just surface level. But then after that call, I thought about it. I realized, no, it's actually a personal level pain for me. So yeah, it gets interesting. And obviously to each their own in regards to what your product solves for, stuff like that. Let's switch gears a little bit. Obviously we want to go towards the life pitches, but I guess what are the elements of a good pitch? Daniel, let's start with you this time around. We've already said just, the permission-based opener, stuff like that, but what is a good pitch for you?
So I don't like pitching on a cold call. Like my sale is I'm trying to sell a meeting. So I guess like that would be my pitch. What I'm trying to do is find pain and twist the knife.
How?
Through being curious, asking questions, knowing my stuff. Hey, like I'm going to talk from experience at Dooley. If I'm calling a sales leader, I'm asking about their roll-up. I use Rollup Not Forecast because that's what leaders use. So I'm using their language. So I'm already now like a peer. And I'm asking like, hey, how long did it take you to get your roll-up out at end of queue last week? And they're like, oh, took me friggin' 10 hours. I was chasing reps for hours. I was like, 10 hours. I'm just saying 10 hours, classic mirroring or whatever. Yeah. And then let them go, yeah, 10 hours. It was 2 hours of harassing my managers and then they weren't getting it fast enough. So I had to then hit Slack, and 6 hours of Slack huddles and calls and Zoom meetings just to get my friggin' forecast set so I could roll it up. Okay. And so that's like a lot of time that you're spending not doing all the rest of your job, let alone like the reps. Like how does that impact, your week? He's like, brutal. Like it's already end of quarter. So they're under the gun. And now I'm taking 8 hours a day, 8 hours of the team's work week where they could be demoing, where they could be, wrapping up negotiations, where they could be X, Y, Z. And so I'm like, okay, wow. I mean, hey, listen, I know this was a cold call. It was out of the blue. I don't know if this is of interest to you, but if there was a way I could, get that 10 hours back for both you and your reps into their calendars for those revenue generating activities you mentioned, would you be against a conversation, over Zoom next week, Tuesday at 3:00 or whatever? And I mean, if someone's literally just put their dirty laundry out there and you've shown them a washing machine, who's not going to agree to that? So I don't call and be like, we're the number one solution for updating Salesforce, because who cares? You've got to find their pain, twist the knife, and then, offer a buoy. That is how I would answer that question anyway.
Slow clap. I was gonna say earlier, when somebody pitches me, I switch that on as a question. Sorry, if somebody asks me to pitch, switch it up with a question. But Jason, what do you think of what Daniel had to say?
I love that, because you're customizing your quote unquote pitch, right, based on what they were having problems with. And you're just saying, I can help that go away. You know what I mean? It's the anti-pitch. So I think you do need to have a pitch ready. If sometimes this happens at the beginning of a cold call, you do your priority drop and they're like, well, what do you guys do at Dually? And I find it's good to give them a little something. And the best thing to use is a customer story.
Yeah.
So if it's at the beginning and then you want to redirect with a question, at the end. You said it was roll out or roll up, Daniel?
Roll up.
Roll up. Okay. So this is what it would, kind of sound like.
Yeah.
So let's just role play. Saad, you'd be like, well, what do you guys do at Dually?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what do you guys do at Dually?
Hey, totally fair question, Saad. The reason I was reaching out to you is you guys are very similar to a company that had a vice president of sales. And one of the things he kept complaining about was every time he needed to roll up his forecast, took like 10 hours of his time. He had to reach out to the team, hit them up on Zoom, and they were taking 8-10 hours a week off the floor during those weeks. And we just sort of helped a lot of those problems go away so that your forecasts, you can get them faster and they're not subject to human error. I'm really curious for you, how do you tackle forecasts right now? What does that process look like?
Yeah, I love that. You made me think of a problem that I go through. And like, that's a Jedi mind trick, because Jason, I know you've done your research. I know you're good at what you do. And then you literally just flip the script with the question. So yeah, and you were trying to cover your qualification, whatever you want to call it.
I got one more. I got one more way that you can end this just real quick. That's pretty good. Yeah. Is if you say a big problem. So I could do that. Hey, it takes them 10 hours to do their roll up every quarter. They got to reach out to the team to do X, Y, Z. Saad, I don't suppose you figured out a better way to handle forecasts, have you?
No, I haven't. No. What are you selling?
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel. I like that question too.
I do like it. I will say, before you continue, I take notes every single time and I make our stuff better. So thank you for that.
I hope you take those notes in Dually.
I will. Hey.
So with this like pitch, like, someone's like, hey, yeah, like, cool. Like, what do you guys do? Because like I never thought about that. So thank you first and foremost. But I was curious, would it be a terrible idea to be kind of like a customer soundbite story, where instead of going that into depth, be like, hey, there was a team that was missing quota by 30% quarter over quarter, and we helped that go away. Like something even shorter, or was that too ambiguous?
I like to elaborate on to make it relatable to the person. So, the reason I was reaching out to you, Daniel, I don't know if you're like this other sales team that we're working with, but they were missing quota by 30% each month. And what they found out is that a big part of that was because their forecasting was so manual, the roll-up process, it didn't allow their sales leader to be proactive and identify deals before it was too late. And we sort of helped them implement a system where they could get XYZ results. I don't suppose that's something that you're running across right now, or do you have this totally figured out? I like that bit of specificity. The other thing too is, this is kind of a tough one. So I think the reason you nailed it earlier, Daniel, when you said, I'm just trying to sell the meeting. So why would I talk about Dually a bunch? I'm just trying to get them to meet. Well, oftentimes what gets people to hop on a meeting is it's the two Y's, right? It's insights and invitations. So inviting them to go check out something or sharing insights. And that could be kind of like towards the end of a call, if someone asks you what you do, it's like, we help sales leaders who run into some of these challenges. And really, I just wanted to share some insights on how companies are, reducing the amount of work that it takes to roll up their forecast so they can forecast more accurately. And if nothing else, you get some insights you're free to steal. You get your calendar handy. So sharing some information for them too. I mean, I think that's the real reason why an executive will take a meeting.
Yeah.
Is what are you going to share with me that my peers are doing that we're not?
Yeah.
Yeah. A piece of advice that I got from a mentor, which I literally have it on a sticky note above my camera, is like, would they pay for this meeting? Like,
yeah.
And if the answer is no, then figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like bring insights, bring industry trends, show like all of that stuff. I know this is kind of getting off track from cold calling.
No, it's not. It's not because it's getting ahead of what's already coming. Because okay, we sell to VPs of sales all the time. We know VPs of sales are busy people. If the idea is I want to sell a meeting, I want to sell a qualified meeting, then to what if you said, why would the VP want to come on the call? So I need to think about that earlier. There has to be something there for them, like direct, not, hey, let me show you a world where this could happen now. What is this world you're taking me to? I need to know. And do I want to go into this world? I was talking to one of my reps the other day and we were just doing practice pitches. And he was like, hey, what if and we were doing a role play and he was like, hey, what if I can show you a world? I'm like, okay, what does that mean? You saying, what if I can show you a world where you can do all this stuff? I'm like, I think we're past that. I think we're past that. Like, what does your product do? And is it for me? And why? What is the reasoning over here? And Daniel, you kind of touched up on this earlier when you were doing the role, when you were telling us your pitch, how if you're talking to a VP, you ask them about your roll up and ask them about the time it's taking and how you can get the time back. If we have some time, and I think we do, I want to give an example of what that actually looks like in practice and how basically, I guess, in a very micro level, everybody can do it on a call. Simply in a very simple way, the way I look at that little qualification piece is more so a relevance piece, AKA we need to talk about problems that people live and why is it relevant to them. For example, a technical level problem for Salesforce, and I look at it, this is kind of like Sandler, but I look at a problem in 3 layers, is that a problem is made of 3 layers in such a way that if a VP of sales has issues with their roll up, maybe because Salesforce is messy. Okay, so what does that mean? Issues with the roll up, Salesforce is messy. What does that mean? It has to have some, it's got to be doing something in your business, right? So you can ask, okay, well, if your Salesforce is messy and you're having issues with your roll up, what is the impact of the business? What is the impact on the business because of that? Or it could be a lot of things. The roll up is, I'm not confident in my roll up. Okay, what does that do? I'm not confident in my roll up.
The business impact would be like, we misquoted 2 quarters in a row.
Yeah. So because of the lack of confidence, missing quota, lack of training, lack of seeing what good reps are doing and being able to project that for other reps. So your forecast consistently is taking beatings. And then ultimately, lack of forecast accuracy, lost dollars, XYZ amount, time spent chasing reps. Okay, so these are all business level problems. This could also be personal level impact, but why would a VP of sales solve for this if it was
because if she doesn't, she loses a job. That's the personal impact. Also, I have no idea what forecast is, but I'm interested.
I'm typing as I go. I'm not as good at Jason. I know he tried doing this previously on a live call. I was like, man, how do you do it in such a clean way? But just
Grammarly.
Yeah,
Grammarly. Yeah.
We have a couple of questions that we should probably answer to. James Hall, while you're typing there, Saad asked, any tips for building trust in the first few seconds of a call? And I think, J-Bay, you sort of touched on it earlier as far as tonality is a great way to build trust. If you're talking at 1,000 miles an hour, it's really, I mean, it's stressful. I don't know. If a stranger comes up to you and is like, "Hey Saad, how are you doing today?" That's very different. "Hey Saad, how you doing today?" Like, one puts you into like, "Wait, what?" And one's like, "Oh yeah, good. Like, how's it going?" That would be my 2 cents. I want to get in because I'm sure Jason's answers can be way better. So you can go next.
Well, I think the very next part of that is the priority drop that we talked about, where I can say, "Hey, Saad, typically when I talk to VPs of sales, I hear, sort of one of 2 things. And, one is, a need to forecast more accurately because their forecast process right now requires, 10 hours out of their reps week to do at the end of every quarter. It doesn't allow them to be proactive, that sort of thing. And the second thing I hear is, this thing. And I'm demonstrating business acumen and that I am a peer and I understand their world. So I think those are the 2 biggest things.
Yeah. So you guys hit it on the nail. So all those things is your permission-based opener, asking relevant questions, making that relevant question really personal to people by asking not just leading questions, but understanding a technical level issue. How is that impacting the business? The business impact is a team level impact. And then how is that impacting you on a personal level on day-to-day? That's why people would want to take a meeting with you. And yeah, there's money in it, there's everything in it, but people do things for personal reason. You need to make it real for those people, whatever that personal reason is for an AE, whatever that personal reason is for a VP, Jason, Saad, Daniel, and so on and so forth. Let's take more questions and then do a pitch, mock pitch. Yeah.
So the next question is from Kyle. How do you flip the script when someone says they aren't comfortable answering your "how do you" questions after talking about common challenges? So I just want to, it sounds like you've already spoken about common challenges, you've got their trust somewhat, but then when you are trying to dig a little deeper and ask more sort of how do they go about their business, they're essentially not comfortable sort of divulging that information. That's sort of the general gist I got.
There's so much there. I think a lot of it is because it depends on, I think a lot of it depends on your tone. So for example, if you're trying to ask about problems, it's very like, these are 2 very different ways that you could do it. Hey, Daniel, tell me about the challenges that you're having filling your pipeline right now. It's like, you have to admit weakness in order to answer that question, and I think there's an inherent shame in admitting weaknesses to people that we don't even know. Like, why would I want to admit something I'm inadequate at, and there's this assumptive nature. I think that people come in, it sounds very accusatory versus, Daniel, I don't know if you're like most reps that I talk to, but one of the things that's given me a heck of a time is when they make a bunch of cold calls, the very few people that do pick up, they're not able to get past the first 30, 60 seconds. How's cold calling going for you? That's a very different way to talk about a problem or get someone to talk about it that doesn't feel accusatory. That's more curiosity. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I know what your problems probably are, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let me assume that this isn't a problem. Let me actually come in with some curiosity. I think that's a really big thing.
I love it. One of the where you wrote like the "how do you ... I think I'd be interested to hear both of your opinions on this too, that if someone's on a cold call and they know like how do you, it's kind of like what you were talking about, Jason, of like, it's kind of accusatory, or it also might feel leading. It's like, you want me to say this and then you're gonna like, then I'm gonna get stuck in the pitch. Like like people don't want to be trapped. And that can also like, it's kind of an easy out that way. So sort of like maybe like looking at the how, like just kind of to Jason's point of how you phrase the question, away from like how do you do this? Because I mean, I don't know, if a seller's calling me and like they've even acknowledged, like obviously you're quite far into the cold call, so they understand you're a seller trying to sell them a product, and then you ask them like, how do you do this? It's like, it's a trap. And then like alarm bells are going off. That's sort of what I think of. And so sort of rephrasing that question, might be a better way. Alternatively, you could be like, hey, look, it sounds like you're not comfortable divulging this to a stranger. Totally get it. What if we were to book time? You can like go for the meeting right there. What if we were to book time? I can send you an NDA over. You can be completely comfortable in divulging or not divulging whatever you want, knowing that I can't, share it or talk about it or whatever. That's another option there. But
empathy, and validation. You're letting them know that it's okay if they don't want to open up. And by doing that, people feel more comfortable opening up. That's sort of the irony of it. By giving the people a choice, they tend to do more of what you want them to do.
And it's also like, is it that big of a deal that I have to book time 30 minutes in the future and I have to fill out an NDA and I have to get all that sorted? Or do I just tell this stranger on the phone my random problem that I can deny I ever spoke about?
I sometimes even think about, there's also this one thing that how much do you want to chase somebody who doesn't want to be chased, or who's not like, obviously nobody wants to be chased, but it's like, it always also goes back to, I think the whole spraying and praying of cold calling is dying because we have so much data now. You can do technology, tech stack checks and stuff like that. So if you keep it relevant, if you use your relevance or problem statements, and if somebody is not willing to open up, then plant the seed of doubt in their head as well. Like, hey, I called you because based on my research, I can see that you do this and we've helped these companies with this, but I'm not going to go into that. This is what we do. If you're not going through this problem, then by all means, not at all. But if it's continuing to grow for you and you don't want to disclose it, then hey, I'll send you some information. My information is absolutely there. If you want to do something about it, we can connect. But if you don't, then this is going to continue. There's other ways of saying it. I'm not saying that it's a very good hit, but just letting people marinate on that problem and planting that seed of doubt. Just like, hey, look, I know you're going through this. I'm just going to leave this there.
And then in 3 months, they can go buy your competitor.
There you go. Hey, you did your job. You educated them.
I saw it was a line from a guy called Troy Barter, who is the VP of sales at PandaDoc. And he's like a 4-time VP and a huge cold caller. And he wrote this post on LinkedIn like 2 days ago that really struck me. It's like, he said, I don't cold call to convince people that don't need my product to buy my product. I cold call to have a conversation with people that want to solve a problem that I solve. And like, he's like, I'm trying to find those people. And I think like going into a cold call with that mentality is definitely one way to go about it. We got like less than 10 minutes. We should probably do some pitches.
Yeah, I'm posting in the channel. Who wants to? So I don't know if we've done this before, but I would love for somebody to come online and try and do a pitch. Just as many people. Elise, how do we do that? I know you're hearing me. Oh, okay.
Harish, get the hand up. Mary is in. Come on. You're the host. If you click on the
Mark Kelly raised their hand as well. I am curious. I've never actually. Oh,
so if you go to.
Okay, yeah, I can allow them to talk. Okay, perfect. Who was okay, Harish. Okay, perfect. Harish, you're on, my friend. I think you're on mute still, maybe.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Glad to be here. So just impromptu pitch. So hi, folks.
Wait, should one of us be a prospect? And then say we're going to do a cold call, right?
Oh, yeah. So maybe Jason.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn my video off so it's a little more realistic. There we go. Hello, this is Jason.
Hi, Jason. Hope you're having a good day. So I'd like to chat with you on the problem, which is about prospecting experience. Do you have a minute?
Prospecting experience? Who are you calling with?
So if I understand right, you're saying like which company I'm calling in from, or
yeah, what are you calling about? You said prospecting experience. Yeah. Who are you calling with? What are you calling about?
Yeah. So when a sales rep in your company trying to do outreaches, so they might be doing through emails, LinkedIn, and meetings. So what I see is the prospects would have to get information from many different places. So that usually leads to poor prospect experience. So I'm curious, do you see the same problem with your team?
Yeah. So like, are you a data provider? Do you sell emails and phone numbers, or what's, I'm trying to figure out what do you do?
Jason, at this point, I'm just curious about the problem, and based on what your need is, so I might suggest a better solution for you. So I'm solely, looking at the problem and see is it what you are into, and if we are the right fit. So as for what we do, so we are trying to have a unified experience for prospects, so they can have a one single way to interact, like a chat with the SDRs, and then have all the docs in one place. Does this sound something which you might be interested in to talk more?
All right, let's go ahead and stop there. Do we want to save some time, you guys, for one more, or do we want to give some quick feedback? Dude, props to you for doing this in front of everyone, by the way. Good on you, dude.
The first thing,
thanks, good folks.
The first piece of feedback I would give my friend is, I think Jason only spoke for like maybe 100 words compared to your, I don't know, 400. And if you can make it more of a conversation by like asking a question and then letting him talk, that might be a way to, well, it will be a way to help improve your prospects experience.
Yep, sure thing. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a permission-based opener too. Hey, Jason, I got you in the middle of something. Do you got a minute for me to tell you why I'm calling? You can let me know if you want to keep chatting. That buys you some time at the beginning, and the prospect's basically saying, hey, here's the mic, dude. Yep. You got it. Just really, I'm a fan of really simple, easy to implement stuff. That's probably the number one thing that I would do.
I guess, and I think you were trying to do the right thing there, because Jason was asking you what exactly is this about, or what's the situation here. And I think you could have given a little bit more clarification using questions, versus you maybe might have often, you're on with like 60 or so people, might have often nervous and just jump to the, hey, like I'm not trying to sell you anything, but this is what we can do. Maybe adding what we can do for what we do for, AKA like, hey, this is a problem that we solve. Sorry, this is the solution, but we solve for this because this problem exists. Do you go through this problem? And that will help Jason understand, okay, I get what this is about. And that will give you a yes or a no, and then you can handle it from there. I hope that helps.
Yep. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Anybody else want to go?
Jordan Weaver is down, so you need to get Jordan Weaver in here.
Let's do it, Jordan. Let's go, Jordan. All right, Jordan, you're on with Jay Bay and Daniel Ryan. Sorry, I tried to do my radio voice.
DJ Das.
Alrighty. Yeah, thanks for doing this, by the way. So I guess ring.
Who are you calling, my friend?
Yeah, am I calling Jason or?
Sure.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah, hey Jason, this is Jordan Weaver. Do you have a minute?
Yeah, sure. What's up, Jordan? How can I help you?
Okay, so I can hear the hesitancy in your voice, and just so you know, this is a cold call. I'm sure you weren't expecting this, and I know that you probably have a busy day ahead of you, so you can hang up now or roll the dice with me. But I just wanted to reach out to you because I talked to a lot of people in your title and in your industry that are looking for a digital product firm. And I wanted to just see if you're familiar with digital product firms, if that's something you handle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of them. Who
Okay.
are you guys? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we're a boutique digital product firm. And so, we compete with larger agencies like McKinsey, Bain, Accenture. And we actually focus on more of the innovative step change side to things, or brand side of things. So, these are larger custom software projects, custom web apps, custom mobile apps that companies need to implement, because adding another SaaS solution to their tech stack just isn't cutting it, and they have a specific business outcome that they need to solve for. Do you know if that's something at top of mind for anyone in your company, or any projects on the roadmap for this year?
Maybe. Can you send me an email?
Yeah, I can absolutely send you an email. What do you mean by maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't really, I just need to know a little bit more about what you guys do, because we already work with a firm.
Okay, I gotcha. And so, do you just work with one firm, or do you have a list of vendors that you usually go to?
Here, let's go ahead and stop there, because I want to make sure I got to leave in a minute. I want to make sure we give you feedback. Dude,
Yeah.
love the opener. That was great. Great job acknowledging the cold call. I think like what I would probably take out the question of, are you familiar with these types of apps or providers or consultants or whatever it was, shops, I think you said. I would go straight into the next part that you talked about. Typically, we work with folks that are doing this, but they're not quite getting what they need because of this reason. That part that you said, that's the thing I would put before asking, because now I'm going to put you in a box. I'm going to put you in a box of all the other people that do exactly what you do. And I'm just going to say, we're set. We already do that. We already have one. And I don't want to talk about what we do. I want to talk about what people are trying to accomplish and what gets in the way of that.
Okay.
Good work, dude. That was good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You guys, I do have to hop. I'm so sorry. I got a client call right now. This was super fun. Saad, Daniel, Harish, and Jordan, props to you guys for coming up and doing this. And thank you everyone for having me.
Always a pleasure, Jason. Take care.
We'll see
Don't forget
you.
your permission-based opener.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a quick feedback as well, and it's not a bad one. So you asked him for permission, but you never let him answer. So you asked him for the minute, and you kind of just went into it. You didn't let him answer.
Well, you asked him like, hey, do you mind? And he's like, yeah, sorry, who is this? And then you handled that beautifully with like, hey, I hear some hesitancy, da 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 da. And then instead of being like sort of asking again after doing that, you kind of rolled straight in. Is that what you're referring to, Saad?
Yeah.
That was the only thing I wrote down. Your pace was amazing, and you did the permission-based opener.
Yeah, and criticism for the sake of criticism, literally what Jason said as well, that relevance piece was brilliant. If you just be like, hey, this is what we see in the industry. Do you go through this? Or even better, this is what we see in the industry, which is this is what happens. I'm just curious, do you or anybody in your organization go through this or think about this? And then let them sit on this thing and let it marinate. So when you tell them exactly what you do, they go like, oh, eureka.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. Thanks a lot for the feedback, y'all.
No worries at all, man. Was that helpful?
Yeah, that was very helpful.
Yeah. I'll follow. There's Kyle Coleman is brilliant as well. Kyle Coleman always does a lot of like, I don't know, email coaching and stuff like that, but he's very good at cold calling as well. I also have to drop, friends. I hope this was valuable for everybody. I have a meeting with my boss. But yeah, hope it was fun. Always a good time with the RevGenius friends. And yeah.
Adios, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Take care. Bye.